Have you heard of a country called Tajikistan? Nestled in the heart of Central Asia, it is rich in history and culture. Tajikistan, as we know today, was established during the Soviet Union, when the central government invested significantly in infrastructure and industry. Even today, many citizens feel nostalgic for that era, surrounded by the reminders of the Soviet past. That is why in this journey we will venture to the northern part of the country to explore the remnants of that time and of course discover some fascinating statues of Lenin. Enjoy! Salam alaikum my nomads, and we are back in Central Asia to do some proper adventures, and today we begin our journey in the capital city of Uzbekistan, Tashkent. On this video, we're going to do a proper Soviet hunt. We're going to hop on the train, cross the border to Tajikistan, and find the biggest statue of Lenin of Central Asia. So tell your parents you're busy, grab some snacks, and enjoy this journey. Vamos! I'm in the South Terminal station in Tashkent, and our first destination is Gulistan, and that's gonna take about 1 hour to get there. The cost is $9, and luckily enough, we're hopping on the Soviet train, just like last year we did, all the way to Termes. Looks like we have a last carriage today. Salam alaikum. This is pretty much my second time traveling on a shared carriage, which means that there is no privacy, there is no doors. This is how it looks like. In Russian it's called platskar. We have 2 beds here and 4 on this side. Plus some free water and tea, all for $9. But it was surprising that men and women compartments are not separate, considering it's predominantly a Muslim country. Let me give you a proper tour of a shared carriage and how it looks like. Тут туалет есть? Какого года поезд? 54-го. 54-го? Советский Союз. Последняя остановка какая здесь? Хунград. Хунград это где? Каракалпаке. Сколько ехать? Завтра 9 часов мы там. А, быстро, не так долго. 15 часов. 15 часов. От Ташкента до... Да, 18. He says from Tashkent to the border of Pakistan, it's 15 hours. That's a pretty long ride because this carriage doesn't have any AC. And a lot of people, by the way. So, luckily I only have 1 hour compared to the 15. Now let's see how the restroom looks like. Not too bad for a 1954 train. The cool part about the Soviet trains is that each carriage has a pot of hot water. And that's for the tea and for the cup of noodles. That's what usually people eat on these journeys. The ride was terribly hot. Everybody did what they could to cool down. Luckily, there was a vendor selling cold drinks. Стакан кола можно? 18 тысяч. Пол-литра флеш мохито есть. Пол-литра. Пиво есть. Банан. Сколько стоит? 10 тысяч. Я возьму семечку. Откуда вы? Калифорния. Много там? Русские, наши, узбеки. Узбеков много, да. Да. Как, вам нравилось? Ну, уже не первый раз, уже 3-й раз. Тут ресторан есть в этом? Первый вагон, да? Между 8-м и 9-м. Ну, далеко идти отсюда. Не, я выхожу скоро, в Gulistan. Gulistan, да. Там что есть в Gulistan? Сразу в Таджикистан. Я тоже с России, где-то 3 года назад я приехал через Таджикистан. Да. Ну ладно, удачи вам. Рахмат, до свидания.
Вот машины стоят.
Да.
Спроси, как мне до Бекабада доехать.
Все, Рахмат. Traveling on this train makes me feel like I'm a Roman gladiator. I mean, I was sweating like crazy in there. I can't imagine how can people go 9 hours straight to the border of Pakistan, which we luckily are not doing. The first thing I see in this town is an old school Soviet Vazik. Look at this, and it's a police car. That's freaking badass. This town and this region is much more religious, and the population speaks less Russian language here. Bekabad. Bekabad. Bekabad?
Бегабот.
У тебя гражданский какой? Все. Айбек.
Почему?
After 10 minutes of trying to figure out the logistics, the guys tell me it's not possible to go to Bekabad, so we had to detour to Oybek.
Well, that was kind of pointless to come all the way to Gulistan because now we have to track back a bit, since Bekabad border crossing is only for the locals of Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. Therefore, we're going to another border crossing, but that's taking another 30 minutes extra. It's going to be a pretty boring ride. I didn't expect to go this long right now.
The ride was indeed very boring. There are no views, the road is straight, the driver was quiet the whole time, but at least he played some nice music.
One hour and a half later, we reached the border. It seems pretty busy with the trucks. I hope it's not as busy with the people, because then we might be in a chaotic situation, as usually it happens in these type of borders in Central Asia. Behind me is the Uzbek border. We just passed it. It took about less than 5 minutes. And now we have to walk about 300 meters to reach the Tajik border.
Keep in mind that the border opened between the two countries in 2018 after the death of former Uzbek president Islam Karimov. The border is still pretty basic without any advanced technology.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tajikistan. We finally crossed. That was a 5-minute border control as well. Now we're gonna make our final leg of this journey to Khujand, or in other words, as it used to be called, Lenin I, named after Lenin. We found a taxi, but since it's a shared taxi, we have to wait for 3 more people, and it cost about $5, I think.
This is pretty much the only way to leave the border. After 30-minute wait, we got on the way. The drive was not exciting either. Occasionally, we saw vendors along the highway selling melons and drinks. Additionally, Tajik drivers tend to have high blood pressure and always speed up. Since it was only 60 kilometers on a relatively empty road, I felt somewhat safe. But let me tell you, it was simply a relief to finally make it to Khujand.
Well, here we are in Lenin I. Behind me you can already see a Soviet-style building with a Tajik motif. Looks pretty cool. We have a lot to explore in this city. However, it's sundown now, and I don't think it's the best time to film. So we're gonna get some food, check into the hotel, and continue tomorrow. Good morning, nomads from Leninabad, or as they call it today, Khujand. I'm beginning my day outside of the huge culture palace that was built in the 1950s by the Soviets. It doesn't look like a typical Soviet building, and that's why we came to investigate, to see this grandiose structure. Supposedly this building was inspired by the palace that is located in St. Petersburg. It has a very similar structure, or the design to it. The stairs, the facade, the columns, and also the fountain. Let's come closer and see all the decoration. You have the picture of the current president, and to the left side is the photo of the Persian ruler that's supposedly responsible for founding Tajikistan. And at the top you have the Soviet hammer and sickle. Very cool, looks beautiful. What's very iconic about the Arbob Palace is that in 1992 the Tajik government signed a document declaring independence from the Soviet Union in this building. And you might wonder, why is it 1992? And that's because Central Asian countries were the last to exit the Soviet Union. In fact, they didn't want to do so. They even took a referendum where majority of the people voted to stay inside the USSR. And that's facts that few talk about, and I think this is a very important part of the history. And around the main palace you can find many other buildings, such as this amphitheater behind me, or this stela, or that building, or this gates, which definitely look more Tajik than Soviet. But it's worth the visit if you're in this town. The Arbob Palace is a bit on the outskirts of Khujand, so let's get back into the city, explore a bit, and find what we came here for.
What's the difference in Khujand from the capital city Dushanbe is that you can see lots of Soviet Tajik architecture, along with new buildings and of course tons of portraits of the president.
We've just entered the city center of Khujand, and the first thing that I saw was this memorial that is dedicated towards the fallen soldiers of Tajikistan. It's quite a tragic story because of the 30,000 people of Khujand that were sent to join the Soviet army. Only every third person came back home alive. Unfortunately, this memorial is not being taken care of. The fountain is not working. The water is dirty. Looks like people are using it as a trash can. And most importantly, the flame that's not supposed to go out is not working as well. That's not quite a nice dedication towards your ancestors that protected the Soviet lands. Since Khujand is one of the oldest cities on the Great Silk Road, I want to welcome you to Registan. You might wonder, what is Registan? And that is the city center where all the trade would occur during the Silk Road times. Back in the days, in this main square, about 18 caravans would gather and do trade from China, from Turkey, from whatever the cities were connecting east to the west. Now, since this is not the ancient history video, we're focused more on the Soviet stuff. Therefore, we're going inside the market that was built in the 1950s. The Panchabe, which translates to Thursday, because Khujand would have a market every Thursday, and Dushanbe translates to Monday. And that's because during that time, people would come to the markets, either on a Thursday to Khujand or either on a Monday to Dushanbe. On the entrance to the market, you can find mosaics. Check it out. All these beautiful, colorful tiles. This pavilion was built in the 1950s in order to facilitate all the markets that were in Khujand, in order to bring them all together under one roof. And I think that's quite a smart idea. And this is how this became one of the largest markets in Central Asia. This part of the market is mostly bread, or in their language is naan, and spices and nuts. Currently, we're in the season of watermelons and cantaloupes, and this is one of the best places in the world to buy that. And check out the size of it. It's much bigger than my head, probably twice the size. And the watermelons are massive as hell.
I did notice the meat being not in the fridge, but on the clean tables without the flies. No matter what, their meat is truly exceptional.
I think I already found something special to try. And it's called samsa. Салам алейкум. Это самса?
Это сырое есть, тыква есть, зелень есть.
Она по-другому выглядит, не как в Узбекистане.
Это картошка есть, правда?
Картошка нет.
Да.
Я пробовал картошку, да.
Давайте одну картошку.
Хорошо, одну.
6 сом умеешь.
Хорошо.
4 сом.
Rahmat. So I took 3 different kinds of samosas, as you may know them in the West. One is with the pumpkin, the other one is with the grass, and the third one is with the potato. It definitely differentiates from the Uzbek style because the Uzbek ones are much puffier, more dough and less filling. But this one, however, has more filling and less dough. Very good. Highly recommend it if you're in Khujand or Tajikistan. I think we just found the section where they're cooking kebabs. Look at this. Beef kebab, chicken kebab. Wow. Very cool. It looks very delicious, but I ate the samosas and I don't know if I can handle more meats and stuff. Hello. This is probably one of those things that stands out from this market. Is the, как называется? Kurd? The curd, it's the soft, dried cheese balls that last forever. I'm not a big fan of it. It's extremely salty and really hard. This is one of those things that you must try. Exploring the local markets is always a thrilling experience because this is where you can witness the local life. However, we must continue our journey.
By the way, come here in the evening and experience the night market like no other, with tons of delicious food options for a very reasonable price. Anyways, I continued walking along the main street towards river and mostly admiring the architecture. At one point in history, obviously during the Soviet era, this street used to be named Lenin. Nowadays, it's named after the Persian ruler, Ismail Somoni. However, the street parallel to this one is named Gagarin, and it still remains that way, which is pretty unique. I think we found another Soviet monument, and this one is dedicated towards the foundation of Soviet Union. Слава борцам за установление и упрочение советской власти. Khujand is being grateful to the Soviet government for being included in the USSR. I'm currently crossing the infamous river Sirdarya, and to my left you can see the cable car system that is not working currently. However, to my right you can find something very unique. There's the beach. Oh my god. Didn't expect this type of a find today. They literally have sand along the shore. The river seems clean, so why not, right? I think, guys, we've reached Lenin. Well, what do you think? Doesn't look like a typical statue of Lenin, does it? Well, it isn't. This is the statue of Ismail Somoni. On this place and on this specific pedestal used to be Lenin. However, they moved it to another park, and that's where we're going next. It's quite saddening, the condition of this statue and the surrounding area. All the tile is broken, the fountains don't work. Even they replaced it with something they like, they still don't take care of it. At least this park has some colorful mosaics with Tajik history, and they are in good shape. Make sure not to miss them. I had to avoid melting on the scorching sun and kept exploring. So while walking, I met a friend from Germany here. He's exploring and going to find Lenin statue as well. But on the way, we just ran into the monument of Chernobyl. These are the people who are responsible from Tajikistan cleaning up the ruins after the explosion in 1986. That's quite clever, but it's hidden from the public. Very nice. I find this as a respectful gesture towards all the victims and the 120 citizens of Khujand who partook in the cleanup after the explosion. So the Chernobyl monument and this war monument that I'm about to show you is located in the Victory Park. And this specific one is actually dedication towards the Tajik fighters in Afghanistan, 1979 to 1989. This is something rare to see because most republics had their citizens sent to Afghanistan, but I've never seen dedication for this specific war. Majority of the time is World War II. As we're walking in this Victory Park towards our final landmark, you'll see posters of the people who fought in the World War II. All of them have a Soviet star next to them and Georgivskaya lentashka. This is it, nomads. We've made it. Check this out. It's unbelievable. The hammer and sickle and Lenin. A 12-meter Lenin, and the pedestal is 12 meters, so 25 meters in total. And it is considered the largest in Central Asia. I don't know, the one in Osh in Kyrgyzstan is quite big as well. This statue was erected in 1974 to mark the anniversary of Lenin's death. At that time it was the largest in Central Asia, but a year later a 30-meter statue would emerge in Osh in Kyrgyzstan, which you can visit and see it in its original place. This used to be positioned at the park we just visited before, and now it's here. And check it out, Lenin is looking towards the east, and I think that's his usual position. And to the east is the Pamirs. Sometimes it's hard for me to make sense of the reasons that I travel for. However, I think that this statue is impressive, but not as impressive as another one that's 1 hour away from here. Therefore, let's hop on a marshrutka, take 1 hour and a half journey towards a lake where we will find the most impressive dedication of Lenin. So don't tune out just yet, stay patient, 3 more minutes, and поехали. Добрый день. Старый автовокзал довезете? Сколько стоит? Убрали оттуда сюда.
2 года впереди.
2 года назад? Недавно. В 22 году. Actually, the Lenin statue was moved in 2011. That's what taxi drivers are not always the best source of information. А когда лучше жилось? Во время Союза или сейчас?
Нормально было здесь.
Хорошо было? Неплохо?
Нормально. Что-то все дорого оставили.
А еще уран добывают здесь или уже прекратили?
Не уран.
One significant site that you must visit is the Khujand fortress. All history could be learned in one place. Honestly, I had no time left for such activity and rushed to the station. This is one of those street corners where people work as long-distance drivers with private cars. They only depart but all the seats are sold. Sometimes you have to wait. That's why I decided to check out the official terminal across the street.
Сколько ехать?
Час.
Час?
18 рублей билет.
Поехали.
We're not taking a shared taxi today, but a marshutka. It's a bit not too comfortable as of now because the seats don't recline. They're pretty stiff, but it's going to be an experience. It's only 1 hour drive. Welcome to Istaravshan. We're close to the eastern Pamir Mountains. And now we must find transportation to a lake where we will conclude this episode. Look at all these watermelons inside of the cars. I guess people just come from the fields. They pick it up and come directly to this bazaar and sell it from the car. I've never seen watermelons of this style. Salam alaikum. I'm not sure exactly why I always end up either in South America or in Central Asia in the markets, in the bazaars. At one point you get sick and tired of them because they're loud, they're busy, and they're smelly. Такси есть?
Да, я такси.
Карасакал.
Харасакал?
Да,
Сколько лет?
20. Да, потом я дальше еду.
Ты на Ленин поедешь, да?
На Ленин. Тут много на русском говорят?
Да, все знают.
Все знают?
Да.
Школы остались?
Нет, не школа, вот телевизор смотрит. Я вот смотрю телевизор, да, русский кино или сериал, или мы быстро уже говорим.
А чем тут занимаются? Тут шахты есть или заводы есть?
И здесь ничего нет. Вот поедем в Россию, Россия работаем, придем, немножко отдыхаем, обратно поедем в Россию. Работаем там в заводе.
We came to our final stop. What I believe you guys deserve the most to see. Not a statue in the middle of a city, but something much cooler. 365 steps to go until we reach this special monument at the top of this hill. This is it, guys. We've made it. The bust of Lenin. A very spectacular and unique monument. I've never seen Lenin being in this position. This giant monument portrays Lenin with an extended arm, a gesture symbolizing guidance towards a bright future. It was built by a Lithuanian sculptor and unveiled in 1965 to celebrate the inauguration of the Katasai Reservoir, which remains a crucial source of fresh water for the region. According to the taxi driver, he said that they used to come here and swim and enjoy their time, do some barbecue, but nowadays I guess it's closed to keep the water clean for the public's drinking. It's been quite a journey, a short one, about 24 hours, but we've taken a lot of transportation, taxis, trains, marshutkas, all just for this monument. I don't think it gets more random than this. However, there is one more bust of Lenin outside of a dam in Kyrgyzstan, but that's guarded by the military guards. We're not going there. I think we've seen enough of Lenin statues, including one in the United States. And this one is the most extravagant one, the most out of ordinary. But I'm super happy to make a stop here for you guys and for myself as well. I think this is enough for the Soviet adventure, specifically finding the Lenin statues. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Leave your comments, don't forget to put a like and subscribe.
Until next episode, nomads. Ciao!
In the next video, I continue from the Lenin statue deep into the Fan Mountains by hitchhiking and visiting 12 villages along the way, so stay tuned.